I thought we'd talk about communication breakdown, and then we'd talk a little bit about connections. So let's get right down to the basics. I mean the basics. In the movie Social Media, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg explained to other students working with him at Harvard that what he was aiming for was very high-minded. He wanted a better way for guys and girls to hook up with other guys and girls.
Relationship status, interested. This is what drives life at college. Are you having sex, or are you? It's why people take certain classes and sit where they sit, do what they do, when at some center. That's what the Facebook is going to be about. People are going to log on and say, well, the cake and watermelon, there's a chance they're actually going to get laid. Get a girl. Yes. That is really good.
I said we're getting down to basics. Now, since the internet offered the fastest way to communicate and connect with the greatest number of people, he figured it was the perfect platform. And social media has been exploding ever since, and clearly way beyond its original intent. So, how's everybody here today? Come on, give it up. You gotta loosen up a little bit. I know you've been drinking caffeine, let it roll. Anyway, my name's Dennis Forney. I'm the publisher of the Cape Gazette, very honored to be here today. I want to say thank you to all the folks at Del Tech who think I have something worthwhile to say. This is a great college. It's filled with positive and constructive energy, and I truly am honored to be here. I want to thank Teresa Rodriguez in our graphics department at the Cape Gazette for helping put the graphics together today, and all the Del Tech IT people who are helping to make it work. It's great to work with professionals. And I want to thank also the Cape Gazette co-workers who are here today who have been listening to this for about the last 2 months and just shaking their heads saying, that ain't gonna work, Dennis. But most importantly, I want to congratulate all of you for being here today. It means you care. And it means you want to be part of the greatest evolutionary advancement in the history of this world's civilization. And I'm not overstating that. The internet generally, and social media in particular. Now this discussion is going to begin with love, and it's going to end with love. And no apologies for that. It's the greatest thing there is going. So, the reason for this special group is its affinity for love. The Beatles sang, "All you need is love." President Trump, at a recent forum on immigration, said he wanted whatever legislation that was going to come out to be a bill of love. And of course, our presidency has a tendency to send mixed messages, so we're going to see how that all works out. But I have faith. Love is powerful. Some say God is love. Others say love conquers all. My optimistic heart keeps wishing and praying. When I was growing up, one of the most complicated terms I ever became aware of was ubiquitously omnipotent. All-powerful, all-knowing, and everywhere at the same time. There were only two entities that fit that description for me, God and Santa Claus. Now, with the internet and social media, there are three ubiquitously omnipotent entities: God, Santa Claus, and us. Us, because the internet and our smartphones allow us to be all-knowing and all-seeing all the time. With that comes great power, and with great power comes great responsibility. The First Amendment to our nation's Constitution stipulates that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of peaceful assembly, and the freedom of the press. Misusing any of these freedoms can lead to negative consequences. At the Cape Gazette, we can publish whatever we deem worthy. Sometimes we dream it to be worthy. But society and the free marketplace hold us accountable, and we're okay with that, and liable for what we publish. The Constitution guarantees us the freedom of the press, but it does not protect us from liability. The internet is different. When the first laws were established regarding freedom of speech on the internet in 1996, Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act stipulated that internet sites can't be held liable for content posted on their sites by others who come onto their sites. Efforts are starting to chip away at that widespread protection, which gives people free rein to say anything they want about anything or anybody, regardless of the truth. It's a dangerous territory. But for now, despite those efforts, it's a big problem. Just stay tuned to it because you're going to hear a lot of discussion about this, and it'll involve this Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Of course, all of us can decide not to support or access sites that we feel are misguided or irresponsible, but that doesn't stop fake or malicious stories from being published on the internet and getting quickly into broad circulation, often with serious consequences. The whole controversy over Russian interference in the last presidential election hinges on the internet's all-powerful ability to quickly distribute misinformation and, in the process, disrupt democracies. The success of a government of the people, for the people, and by the people depends on the wisdom of the crowds to make good decisions based on sound information. Bad decisions can result from bad information. So, as with shovels and dollars, social media, most importantly, is a tool. It's what we do with it that counts. Social media can be a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. As a divisive force, social media can be destructive, but it can also be a unifying force and help us to help each other and make the world a better place. President Thomas Jefferson was a great proponent of freedom, unity, and truth, and an adherent to the Christian principles of loving one another. But he felt that through the centuries, the essential binding message of love taught by Jesus Christ in the Bible's New Testament had been adulterated, often for selfish and power-grabbing reasons. He had to do what all of us have to do. He had to separate truth from fiction so he can make good, constructive decisions. He used scissors and glue to cut out of his Bible what he felt were the true words of Christ, and he pasted them into his own little Bible that he called the Philosophy of Jesus of Nazareth. He felt that the worthy parts of the Bible were easily distinguishable from the worthless, as distinguishable, as he wrote later in a letter to John Adams, as diamonds in a dunghill. His challenge was the same challenge we face today with the internet's lightning-fast distribution of information and misinformation. In his own personal pursuit of truth, and in some of the initiatives pursued by his administration, there was an effort to get us all working in the same direction to accomplish worthy goals for our nation. When Congress in 1805, during the Jefferson administration, was considering allocations of tax dollars, it sought to continue construction of a national highway from the East Coast to the West Coast. Route 40, which runs across the top of Delaware, arose from this effort. Senator Thomas Worthington of Ohio addressed members of Congress about the initiative. Listen carefully and read this carefully. Make the crooked ways straight, the rough ways smooth, remove the intervening mountains, and by facilitating the intercourse of our western brethren with those on the Atlantic, substantially unite them in interest, which the committee believes is the most effectual cement of union applicable to the human race. Unite them in interest, the most effectual cement of union applicable to the human race. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end game. That's the purpose for us even being on this planet. It's the same message of coming together taught by Jesus in his message of love and distributed by his social media of the day, disciples spreading the word from ear to ear, and by countless philosophers and spiritual leaders in the many centuries since. Even our dollar bill carries the message of unity and the implication of the positive influence through that unity. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Meher Baba, an avatar and guru popular in the 1960s and 70s, wrote in his discourses, "Although the sense of equality is made the basis of many social and political ideals, the real conditions of rich cooperative life are filled only when the bare idea of equality is replaced by the realization of the unity of all life. It's when we realize that unity and the binding force of love, we can work together to enjoy the rich cooperative life that can help us make this world more harmonious. That Garden of Eden, so productive and so beautiful, discussed in the opening passages of the Bible." Dr. Philip Burstein, a doctor of endocrinology who is retired to Rehoboth Beach, spoke recently to the Rotary Club in Lewis. He illustrated the powerful potential of social media to help us work cooperatively for the benefit of billions. Discussing the internet as the predominant means by which we now receive and communicate information, he noted that to reach 50 million users, it took Facebook only 1.5 years, whereas it took television 13 years to reach that 50 million user milestone and 38 years for radio. He noted that there are now an estimated 2.3 billion active social media users, 2.3 billion. But while 85% of adults use the internet, only 6% have posted questions about health or medical issues, and a fewer 4% have posted their experience with doctors in the previous 12 months through sites such as Facebook and Twitter. Dr. Burstein wants to see the tool we know as social media used to increase those percentages so users can more intelligently detect, understand, and hopefully reduce the incidence of adverse events relating to health services, drugs, and products. He pointed out the website patientslikeme.com as a valuable way for patients to connect with others who have this disease or condition, so those shared experiences might improve outcomes. Improving outcomes equals making the world a better place. It's a powerful use of this amazing tool. Through realizing our unity, not just our equality, our unity, realizing we're all brothers and sisters bound by love, and carefully assessing the information we receive through social media, so like Jefferson, we can see the diamonds in the dunghill. We can progress as individuals to collectively make this world a better place for ourselves and for generations to come. In the famous novel Candide by French author and philosopher Voltaire, the hero of the book travels the world, witnessing great natural disasters, revolutions, wars, and the accompanying death, suffering, and destruction. Rather than ending those journeys as a pessimist, Candide concludes that the best each of us can do is to use the tools given us by the powers of the universe to cultivate the gardens and our own corners of the world, and in so doing, realize the satisfaction that comes from accomplishment and sharing the fruits of our labor with others, and that's love. Can you imagine how much more beautiful this world would be if the 2.3 billion current users of the internet worked cooperatively to cultivate their own gardens? One day after the early January blizzard, it raked the coast and lots of parts of the county, I was walking along Freeman Highway toward Delaware Bay. A pickup truck approached from the direction of the ferry terminal, and I saw it pull over on the shoulder, about 25 yards from where I was walking. I wondered whether the people in the truck with the out-of-state tags were stopping to ask for directions, but they didn't show any sign of doing that. Then I looked further up the highway from where they had come. A dark object lay on the shoulder of the road. The driver backed up, and the man on the passenger side got out. He picked up what looked to be a broken black plastic container. He turned it over once, and then tossed it off the shoulder onto the snowy bank and started walking back to the truck. Processing the scene, I shouted out a friendly, "Yo!" The man looked at me. "Why don't you throw that in the back of the truck and take it with you? There's no reason to leave it here." He didn't say anything, kind of looked at me a little bit quizzically. And then he walked down a few steps to where he had thrown the broken container. He picked it up and he put it in the back of the pickup truck. Very simple little accomplishment. Then the driver put the truck in gear and they were gone, their unexpected task complete. But that little piece of cultivation made this corner of our garden just a little nicer. When I walked back into town and stopped at the coffee shop, I felt high on the exhilaration of the walk and all that great oxygen coursing through my arteries. After greeting some of those gathered to discuss the goings-on, I caught a glimpse of Hallie behind the counter, smiling broadly, quietly, with her mouth closed. I hadn't seen her for several weeks, but we're kindred spirits, and we always talk when I stop in. First, I saw the tight gray T-shirt she was wearing and the capital letters L-O-V-E, nothing but love, on her chest. And then, below those letters, I saw the shirt was not only stretched with love, but also with a little baby belly above her waist. "Wow," I said. Her smile broke ranks and became a toothy, love-filled grin. During that walk, I've been thinking about what I was going to say today. When I opened the door into the warm coffee shop from the cold outdoors, there it was, written right there in front of me, with a big grin and a baby belly and those 4 beautiful letters. "Hallie," I said, "I have to take a picture of you for the speech I'm going to give. Can I?" "Sure," she said. "Absolutely." And then she turned so the baby belly would show, and she added her own beautiful touch to the message. Here's Hallie and that growing little baby. What better reminder could there be for how important it is to use the tools given to us to better cultivate our own gardens and improve this world? Social media is a powerful tool. We can use it to cultivate whatever gardens we choose. We just have to do it wisely.